Okay, good morning, grade 10, and I hope you're keeping yourself safe at home and make sure you wash your hands and sanitize it. Keep your environment clean and please stay indoor because this COVID virus is something that is very serious. But nonetheless, we still need to learn something at home and we need to teach. So I will just be doing a quick recap on page 6. That is at the front. The first topic for this term will be the macro environment. Remember, we've already done that before, but I will just try and recap so that you can just read up and brush up and get more information about the topic. So remember, we have three business environment. In the first term, we've spoken about the micro, we spoke about the market, and today we'll be looking at the macro environment as the environment outside the business. So when you're talking about the macro environment, what is the description on page 7? The macro environment refers to the interaction of the business with everything outside of its internal affairs. So which means that we can only find the macro environment outside the business. And at the same time, it is known as an external environment. And the business has no control over this environment. I mean, absolutely no control. There is no control over it, and there is nothing the business can do. So the only thing the business can do to survive the macro environment is just to adapt and to come up with strategies on how to comply with some of the components in the macro environment. And in the macro environment, we have the component. What do we find in the macro environment? We've got the physical and the natural environment. We'll speak about that later. We've got the economic environment. We've got social and cultural and demographic environment. We've got technological environment. We've got the legal and the political environment. We have the international, or we refer to it as the global environment. And we do have the institutional environment. And everything can be summed up. Remember, for microenvironment, we came up with words in order for us to remember, and we also came up with words for the macro environment. And now if you want to come up with words in order for you to remember, or an acronym to remember the macro environment, you can refer to it as the PASTER. So we'll be looking at all this environment one by one, which we've done before, but I just want to do a recap in case you've forgotten. Number one, we have the physical environment. When you're talking about the physical environment, it is the environment that includes every element in the natural environment. For example, the natural resources, the infrastructure, the pollution, where do we get them from? All those raw materials that the business needs actually come from the natural resources. And even looking at the problem we're facing now, which is a pandemic, we can also classify COVID as an example of a natural disaster, and it can be classified under the physical environment. And obviously, there's nothing the business can do in terms of controlling what happens in the physical environment. And the practical example is what we are experiencing now because of the pandemic, which is the virus. The business has to close down. There's nothing you can do. You just have to comply with any rules that comes up afterwards. And number two, we have the economic environment, which we find in the macro environment. It refers to all those factors that affect financial matters. These factors affect production, it affects distribution and the consumption of goods and services. And at the same time, all businesses are affected by changes in the economic environment. Another examples of the factors that falls under the economic environment will be the exchange rate, will be the inflation rate, and all those factors have a direct impact on the business, and the business cannot actually does not have no control over the economic environment. And remember, I always tell you to watch the news, look at the exchange rate. How much is a rand to a dollar? How much is a rand to a pound? And how much is a rand to an euro? It tells you more about what is going on in the economy that actually have an impact, a direct impact on the business. And number three, we've got a social factor which also falls under the macro environment. When you're talking about the social factors, we'll be talking about things that happens around the community, those factors that have a direct impact on our livelihood. It affects our lifestyle. And example of this is the poverty. We find poverty in the social environment. We've got HIV and AIDS that have direct impact on the community in which we live. We have unemployment. We have crime, which is something that really happens in our community, and we can also be classified on the social life. And the point is, why is the business affected by the social factor? What is the impact of that social factor on the business? Number one, when we have poverty in our social communities or in our lives or around us, it has a direct impact on the business, because there's no way people can buy from the business when majority of the consumers are poor. And at the same time, HIV also has a direct impact on the business. We'll be talking about that in our next topic. And also we have unemployment, which have, I think unemployment and poverty, they're actually siblings. Remember, I always tell you that, because obviously if you don't have a job, you will be poor. And at the same time, we've got crime in our society, in our social life, that affect what? The business. When you have a business wants to be situated or needs to be established, if it is a crime-ridden area, there's no way the business can be successful, because there will be theft, there will be break-ins, and there's no way the business can survive. And number 4 factor that we find in the macro environment is the technological environment. Remember, I said it in our previous lessons that I said technology is the fastest growing industry in the whole wide world, and at the same time, technology is the result of the application of science. Modern society rely on technology for new ideas and new innovations. And how does it impact on the business? Business depends on machines to carry out production, and at the same time, businesses needs to make sure that they are constantly updated in order for them to be competitive in a business environment. And number 5, we have the legal environment, and another word for legal, we can call it the law or the legislation. The impact the different laws of the country has on the business, as well as the way the country is being governed. Government implement rules and regulation which have a direct impact on the business. Many laws and regulations in place to control business operation. And at the same time, remember when we did I think it was the microenvironment, we actually spoke about examples of government rules and regulation that have impact on the business. Example would be the National Credit Act, and we also spoke about the Consumer Protection Act. And those are the examples of laws that governs the business. They have direct impact on the business. The business doesn't have an option rather than to comply with all those rules. And in a situation whereby they are being found that they are being defiant, or sometimes they are not being compliant, businesses will be fined. And giving you a practical example of what we have around us now, the government is putting rules and regulations that businesses must not increase hand sanitizers, because consumers are very desperate, they in need of that. And also masks, or sometimes toilet papers. Businesses are not allowed to increase the prices of those products, because they could see that people are desperate. So those are the examples of laws that government put in place that the business doesn't have a control over. And you can see, if you watch on the news, the government put out numbers that consumers can call in case they are being ripped off in the shop. So those are examples of government rules and regulation. The business doesn't have a control over that. They just have to comply. We've got the BBBEE, we've got Consumer Protection Act, we've got National Credit Act. We will be looking at Employment Equity Act as time goes on, and lots of laws that businesses need to comply with. And lastly, we have the institutional environment. Before I go, there is a point still on page 8, still talking about the legal environment. Consumers must be protected against corruption, monopolies, and collusion. Corruption, monopolies, and collusion. Remember, we've spoken about monopolies. You know what corruption means. And at the same time, lastly, we have the institutional environment. The institutional environment provide businesses with structure they operate within. This institution offer services to the business. So examples of the institution that offers services to the business, we can also even look at national credit regulators. Those are the examples of institution that offer services to the business in terms of like, let's take for example, for businesses to be able to give credit facilities to the consumers, they need to be registered with consumer. They need to be registered with the national credit regulators in order for them to give credit facilities. So in a situation whereby they're not sure of who to give facilities to, when to give it, what are the terms and conditions, they can actually go to the national credit regulators to seek consent, and at the same time to ask them what is the way forward, what are the things that need to be put in place before credit facilities can be given to consumers. And we have examples of factors that we find in the economic environment. Number one, we've got interest rate, we've got inflation rate, like I've spoken about that, we've got exchange rate, we've got economic growth, we've got unemployment rate, we've got productivity levels, we've got import and export, and we have taxation. And we have factors in the social environment that we find around us. We've got crime, which affects the business. Number two, we've got HIV and AIDS. It has a direct impact on the business. I will talk about that later. We have gambling. We will speak about gambling. Like I always say, gambling is wrong. And sometimes when I tell learners that you play in double, or you always laugh, those are the examples of illegal gambling that causes problems in the community or in the society in which we have. And at the same time, it has a direct impact on the business, because sometimes people gamble doing an illegal gambling, and they're not being able to pay the credit facilities that is being given to them. Sometimes people have a lot of money, or sometimes they get their salaries, they use that money in gambling instead of paying their dues or debts in the shop. They use it for all those illegal gambling, which is wrong. And at the same time, we have unemployment, which we would speak about. We'll give a definition of unemployment, and we also have what we refer to as poverty. And remember, when you look at the textbook, it says that poverty is when you're living below the breadline. So we'll be looking at what is that breadline, how much can you spend in a day before you can be referred to as living below the breadline. Then we have the cultural factors that affects the business. When you're talking of a cultural factor, we can also link it with our social environment. The demographic structure of South Africa is cultural diverse. South Africa is one of the most diverse country, which diverse in what sense? We have different people coming from different background. We've got different cultural groups. We've got so many ethnicity. We've got different people coming from other countries living in South Africa. And the geographic makeup of South Africa consists of 9 provinces, 14 different racial groupings with 11 different official languages. So we just have 11 different official languages. We actually have more than 11 languages, but we only have 11 official ones. Problems arising in the workplace need to be managed, taking cognizance of the cultural diverse background of the workforce. And that is how it actually impacts on the business. Business needs to make sure that every culture is being catered for, which sometimes can be a problem for the business. And also, we have the effect of the technological change on the business. Technology has changed the way in which business operates, the way business do their marketing, the way things are being produced, and the way business communicates. Technology has managed to reduce cost. And even when, if you can see, when you go into the shop, the businesses are making it things much easier for consumers with the help of the use of technology. Technology has replaced some workers. So when you look at technology, the advantage is that it's good. It makes work much easier for the business. It actually makes life much easier for consumers. But one major disadvantage of the use of technology is it actually causes unemployment because it's gradually replacing workers in the workplace. Before you have employees, I think I made an example when I was teaching that topic, like before, when we go to banks, we have to go to banks and queue, and someone needs to do something for you, a worker needs to help you do a lot of things. But now everything you can be done on your banking app. You can buy your electricity, you can send money to anyone, you can buy food online, it can be delivered to your doorstep. And there's a lot of things technology is taking away in terms of the work employees are supposed to do. So the use of technology, the excessive use of technology, let me use that word, causes a lot of unemployment, and it replaces employees. And remember, I said technology doesn't go on strike, and they do not fight for increase, and they do not stay sick when they are not sick. And that is one of the reasons why businesses are opting for technology instead of the use of employees. And do you remember, the use of technology is actually much faster than when employees do the work by themselves. Advanced machinery makes division of labor possible and increases productivity. Like advanced machinery in terms of, like, it makes much more easier. Everybody is being assigned to the kind of task they will be doing, and it actually increases productivity in the workplace. And the following factors show the impact that technology had on the business. Number one, communication. Technology has made communication more easier, more accessible to the consumers. Innovation. Innovation means a new way, a creative way of doing things, and product improvement. And also for advertisement, technology has made things much easier. And also, I think we spoke about this use of advertisement, like less people read newspaper, less people listen to news. But the moment you make use of social media, nearly everybody is on social media, and everybody have access to whatever advert you're placing. And at the same time, the use of technology in terms of the law, every of those factors have been enhanced by the use of technology in the workplace. And we look at the importance of communication for the business. The cell phone and emails allow salespeople to be in contact with potential clients at all times. Okay, fine. Let me just give a practical example. I think it was like maybe it was on Friday or it was on Thursday. We are on lockdown, but I still find an insurance guy calling me. I was like, aren't you supposed to? Now I remember, okay, fine. You can work from home, because the use of technology actually makes it easy to access people and potential clients. So despite the fact that there is a lockdown, we still have businesses that are doing their work, and thanks to the use of technology, and it has made communication much easier for them to reach their potential clients. And number two, management can be in constant communication with their staff and communicate quicker and more effective. Quite a lot of businesses are having all these online meetings. They're creating groups. They're having meetings. They're making decisions, despite the fact that we are on a lockdown. But that is the use of technology, the importance of technology on the business, and the importance of communication is more quicker to reach your staff, and at the same time is more effective. Email has made it possible to distribute large amount of information to many people at a low cost. Internet has made the sharing of knowledge and new product possible. Thanks to internet, I can reach you guys now, despite the fact that we are on a lockdown. And local businesses can communicate with international companies and purchase machinery and equipment. Yeah. And yeah, I'm rounding up. I think I've spoken for like 2 minutes. Let me just quickly take page 9. Then we have innovation and product development. When you're talking of innovation, there is a difference between innovation and product development. Innovation means ongoing change and what? Improvement of product. Innovation means coming up with new ideas, better ways of doing things. What other things can we do? Ongoing change and improvement of products. It's just like, sometimes some businesses will make certain, okay, let me give you a practical example. For almost like 2, 3, 4 years now, we've been so used to all these orange Oreos drink, but now all those drink has been changed, not like really changed, it has been improved. And when you go to the shop, we have pineapple Oreos, we have tropical Oreos, which is it's so nice, and it actually tastes different. So businesses needs to come up with new ideas. That is what we refer to as innovation, because we as consumers, we get tired of certain products, we outgrow certain products. We're like, no, I've been taking that kind of product for a very long time, I just want something different. So businesses will always come up with to change and to improve the product so that it can attract consumers in buying those products and not switching to their competitors that is always very creative. And number 2, we have product development. Product development can be used to develop and sell new. Can you see that? Developed and sell new products for existing market. It requires new skills and technology, and sometimes it can be expensive, which means it can be costly. So when you're talking of a product development, it can be used to develop and sell a new product. You get what I'm trying to say? But innovation can be used to improve an existing product. Innovation is used for improving the product that you already have, but product development can be used to do what? To develop and sell something new that has not been in the market for an existing market. Let me try and see if we can find a product development. Product development, we actually find them mostly in cars. Yeah, sometimes a car manufacturer try to use product development in manufacturing a new car like we've never seen that before. It has never been driven before. And we also have product development in for example, trying to look at I'm trying to see if I can give you a practical example of a new product that is in the market. So that can be used in developing something new that has never been used before. But remember, if you want to develop something new, it has to be unique at the same time. It has to be different from what has been in the market. It has to be unique so that it can actually attract consumers in trying it, in buying it, and making use of those of those products. So there is a difference between an innovation and what? A product development. Innovation can be used to improve an existing product to make it more attractive, but product development can be used to develop and sell a new product in the market. Then we have marketing and advertising. Internet and website are economical and efficient way of creating a brand and company awareness. Online marketing has become one of the most efficient ways to market products. Social media such as Facebook and Twitter formed large networks with millions of users on daily basis. We have a lot of people using Facebook, we have a lot of people using Twitter, and businesses also find it much easier to advertise their product on Facebook or Twitter because we have a lot of millions and millions of users that we definitely come across all those products. Even if you've never heard of that before, even if you've never used it before, all those kind of adverts pops up on your Facebook, or you find them also on Instagram and on Twitter at the same time. So yeah, I will be stopping there, and tomorrow I will look at the interrelatedness of macro environment. What is the relationship between all this environment, and that will be on page 9. And tomorrow I will be rounding up on the macro environment, and yeah, I will round up on the macro environment, and we'll start a new topic, which is a contemporary socioeconomic issue. Cheers, guys.